Hey guys, welcome to this week. I've titled this week's lesson, Your Story. We all have a story of who we are, our lives, how we came to be at this point in our life. Simply, I grew up in such and such a town and I had these parents and those siblings and I did this as a child and I went to this school and then I graduated or didn't graduate and then I went to a college and I got a job, blah, 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 right? You can implant whatever your story is. So what we tell ourselves, our story, is so important to how we feel about ourselves and whether we empower or disempower ourselves, whether we give our power away to our circumstances and exterior environments and then go into victim mode. And I know that's going to probably trigger a little bit of you because you're a bunch of really strong people and probably you don't consider yourself a victim. I certainly never did until I looked at it a little differently and took the definition of victimhood and simply made it whenever I give my power away to something external, to something other than myself. So, what I want you to think about today is your story. What is your story? And to get you started and to see how powerful this can be, I want to read you a friend's story of how she changed her story. So bear with me a moment. She starts out with, how I used to tell my story. I was abandoned by my birth mother. My adoptive parents were cruel to me and didn't show me affection or love and abandoned me at 16 years of age when I moved out. I got pregnant at 17 and was a single mother. I married an abusive man at 21 and had another child. I stayed with him for 7 long years where he verbally abused me, physically abused me, and told me I was stupid and fat and ugly every day. I found my soulmate and have been married for 30 years. We have a child together. I found my bio mom, and after knowing me for a decade, she told me she didn't want to be my mother and to call it a failed experiment. I'm unlovable. This is what she changed her story to. I was given up for adoption so that I had a better chance at a good life. My adoptive parents taught me to be self-sufficient, strong, independent, and have empathy for others that were suffering. I had a child who was my first blood relative, and he saved me by teaching me unselfish love, unconditional love. I married a man because my daughter Cassie was meant to come into my life. She has been my first real female friend. I've had a hard time trusting women, but I love and trust her to the moon. I married my soulmate, and he believes in me and has supported everything I ever wanted to do. I have been amazing raising a child with a supportive partner. I found my bio mom, got my health history, quit drinking so I wouldn't repeat the alcoholism that runs in my family, and have never been more clear-minded and happy. She left me because of her demons, not because I am not lovable. That's her new story, and she's sticking to it. Same woman, same exact life, same experience. Flipping the script, seeing the same thing from a different perspective. Now, can you see how the first one is very disempowering? It's a bit in victimhood. I mean, sure, she went about and did her life, and she could have been more of a victim if you like. But just the energy behind the story she used to tell herself was these things happened to me. When she tells the story in her new version, even that we might think they're not preferential things, you could go as far as saying some of those things are horrible to happen to someone, she actually flipped her script and realized that came from the perspective that life happened for her, that these things happened for her. They made her independent. They made her self-sufficient. The child she had with the first man was her first blood relative. She'd never experienced that, and here she is, a late teenager. Her second child, she met that man even though he wasn't for her either, because that child needs to come into our life. So these things now happen for her. Do you feel the difference on how empowering that is to be like, okay, I can see now? And then we can't, especially when we're children, we have no control over what happened to us. And if people do things to you, remember, it's not your fault. But if you have old wounds, if you have emotional wounds, it is now your responsibility as a grown adult to heal those wounds, to become a better version of yourself. And that's why we're all here on this growth journey. So this week's lesson, I want you to take some time, call it part of your self-care, and think about your story. If you want to go ahead and write it down, great. If the most time you can find right now is while you're driving in the car, to think about, what story do I really tell myself about me? And is it serving me? Am I coming from a place of being a victim where life happens to me? Or am I coming from an empowered place where life happens for me? And can I flip the script to where life happens for me? So that's your homework for the week. Lots of love. I'd love to hear in the comments what you found out about yourself. If you want to be brave and courageous and vulnerable all at the same time, and you want to share your old story and your new story, I know we'd love to hear it. This is a very supportive group, and I encourage you sharing. It will help your growth go build exponentially. So, all right, have a great day. Lots of love.